So how much choice is there really in Mormon polygamy? Let's talk about that in my review of episode 2 of Sisterwives. And hi, if you're new here, my name's Ben. I grew up on a Mormon polygamous compound. I'm now a comic out in the wicked world, and I'm one of the nephews of the Sisterwives, and I'm watching the Sisterwives show for the first time. I've just finished episode 2 of season 1, and in this episode, Cody drives down to St. George to go on a date with Robin, and takes a couple of his girls to babysit for him, which felt weird. Like, I personally have never babysat the children of someone my dad was interested in while he was on a date with that person, but I imagine that that's a weird feeling. Anyway, I want to start with the theme of choice in this episode because there's a lot of talk in this episode about choosing the lifestyle, about how we're choosing this, how it's our choice to be in this, and how we're choosing this for the benefits. Choice. And that's difficult to hear as someone who's exited the cult and now knows what choice really feels like, because we're dealing with 7 generations of generational momentum here. Like, my family has been Mormon for 7 generations. I'm a 7th generation Mormon. My ancestor, Ebenezer Brown, joined Mormonism. He was a 1st generation immigrant. So basically my family, my American story is that my family came to America, was an immigrant family, and then the children of that immigrant joined a cult, and then they got swept out into the desert in Utah for 150 years and just were manipulated, controlled, abused, and extorted by the Mormon cult that whole time. And so that makes it really difficult to take the claims of the wives that they're choosing this lifestyle seriously. Not because I don't think that they were the ones making those choices, but the programming in their minds that got them to the point where they made those choices, they didn't choose that programming. Both Christine and Mary are born in Mormon polygamy, and so their entire world is Mormon polygamy. They're told from very young age, like little girls, hey, look at how great polygamy is. Look how awesome this is. Look how much support you have. Look how great it is to have sisterwives. All of this brainwashing is taking place that then when they choose to do it as adults of 18 or 19, it's difficult to call that choice. Like, sure, no one held a gun to their head and told them, you've got to do this, but their entire world brainwashed them into making that decision. And not only that, their entire world conspired to lie to them about what that decision would be. Because there's a lot of talk in this episode about how great it is to be polygamous, but there's also a lot of acknowledgement about how difficult it is. There's tons of talk. Like, Robin's freaking out about whether or not she's going to break people's hearts. Cody's actively saying in his car, like, the whole point, like, you can't do polygamy without breaking people's hearts. And that's true, you can't. But what they tell you in polygamy is that that's the point, that it's supposed to be hard. It's supposed to break your hearts. It's supposed to, like, stretch you and challenge you and purify you so that you're worthy to live with God in the celestial kingdom. So when you start feeling all those really natural feelings that are really your body saying, get the fuck out of this relationship, it's bad for you, that's just, the impurity of the world leaving your soul as it's being wrung out of you with the power of polygamy. And so when Robin's talking about, like, oh, how do you do this without hurting a friend? I just want to, like, shake her and be like, you don't have to. You don't have to hurt a friend. There are relationships available to you that don't carry all of this pain and suffering with them. And you can have those relationships. But when you're raised in Mormon polygamy, that's not an option, right? Nobody tells you that you don't have to, that you could opt for something else. Because to opt for something else would be to opt for a lesser heaven after you die, which is basically choosing hell. Also, just as a side note on the hard thing, Cody's story about sobbing in Christine's room over Robin kind of gave me, like, serious Harry Jousey vibes. Like, why are you the one crying? That's weird. The second thing I wanted to address in this episode was Robin's use of the word soulmate, right? She calls Cody her soulmate while she's, like, getting her makeup done in the mirror. And I don't know exactly what soulmate means to Robin, because there's a lot of different beliefs in Mormon polygamy. There's a lot of different, it's just this whole rich, crazy ecosystem of myth. And so I don't know exactly what Robin means when she says soulmate, but I know what I was raised to believe soulmate was. And in order to explain what I understood soulmate to be, I have to tell you about a very important dream that happened in Mormon history. It was called the Mosiah Hancock dream or vision. You can Google this shit if you want to. But basically, back in the day, like 1855 or something, there was a dude named Mosiah Hancock, and he had a dream or a vision of the pre-existence. And if you're new to Mormonism, the pre-existence is basically the idea that we lived in heaven as spirit babies before we came to earth. And in this dream of Mosiah Hancock's, he saw that as spirit babies, there were like an equal number of boys and girls. And so that meant that everyone had a soulmate. All men were paired all boy spirits were paired with a girl spirit, and there was an equal number. So there was actually no need of polygamy in the pre-existence. But during the pre-existence, there was this thing that happened called the War in Heaven, which basically was when Satan tried to undermine God's plan and get him chosen as God's champion and Messiah rather than Jesus Christ. And when Satan did that, he was able to convince a third of all of the spirit babies that he should be the one, and he led them in a rebellion against God. But fortunately for everyone's eternal salvation, Jesus and the spirit babies that supported him were able to overcome Satan and the spirit babies that supported him, and they cast all of Satan's spirit babies down to this earth as spirits. So they're roaming around as demons right now on earth. It's wild. And according to Mosiah Hancock, all of the spirits that followed Satan were boy spirits. Because I don't know if you know this or not, but women are so pure and so special and so good that they would never follow Satan. So after all the Satan spirit babies got cast down to heaven, God looked around and he was like, oh my God, there's all of these girl spirit babies who lost their soulmates, right? Who lost the people that they're supposed to be married to. So I'm just going to divide them up amongst the worthy male spirit babies. So all of the male spirit babies who already had like a primary partner got bonus spirit baby girls to marry, thus introducing polygamy. And so I grew up believing that someone's soulmate was kind of their primary partner, right? That first spirit connection that they had. And then the other wives were the ones that had lost their partners and got grafted on as sort of like a bonus. Now, there was some disagreement over who the primary spirit girl was in my family, some arguments over whether it was my mom or my other mom, but it was pretty clear for my grandpa. My grandpa, Cody's dad, had 3 wives, and it was obvious to everyone who grew up on the ranch who his favorite wife was. It was the wife where he kept all his John Wayne movies. So again, I don't know that that's what Robin means when she says soulmate, but that's how I would have understood that word in Mormon polygamy. And then I think the last thing that I want to address here is just the pedophilic culture that I'm seeing in this show. And I want to be really clear here. I'm not calling Cody a pedophile. I'm not saying that that's what's happening, but there is definitely a pedophilic culture that exists that I'm seeing. And it's not just Cody's family. It's actually in all of Mormonism. And I see evidence in that because there's a lot of men telling little girls to come kiss me, come hug me, come do that, with very little respect for those girls' boundaries. And I learned this recently when I was following another creator on here, Daniela. She's like a cult expert, but she talked about how purity culture is actually pedophilic culture because it's an unhealthy obsession with the sexual energy of children. Because really, healthy adults don't concern themselves that much with what's going on with kids. They're kids, who cares? But in purity culture and in Mormon culture especially, there's a really unhealthy obsession with the purity of the children's sexual experiences. There's just this obsession with controlling their bodies and controlling their sexual expression. And again, that's not something that I'm laying directly at the feet of my family. I'm not saying that my family is unique there. I'm just saying that all families in the Mormon world are struggling with that culture and are having to heal from that culture. It makes total sense why that culture exists. I mean, Joseph Smith was a sexual predator and a pedophile. And so he created a little cult of people, and then that energy, that culture just got perpetuated over the 150, 200 years of its existence. And it's really difficult to see evidence of that in just the way that the little girls are being treated in this show. Like telling a child, where's my kiss? Where's my kiss? Where's my kiss? It rubs me the wrong way. Anyway, that's my review of episode 2. Follow me for more of this, I guess.